By recording from New York, WETA Radio now presents Inside Gene Shepherd.
Yes, you sit right here on my knee, baby, and I'll talk it over with you. So just sit right here, and we're ready for business. Yes, sirree, it's old Travis McGee here, and we're ready to lay a goodie on you. The great chicken fairy here. The legendary chicken fairy is going to whip a goodie on you. Hello, Test? Please, Al, if you will. Let's go, quickly. No, that's the thing over there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring it up there. Oh, start it over again, Al. Start it over again. We're not going to have... Wait a minute here. While you're doing that, I'll hit the machine here to get this hum out of here. There's something in here that causes a terrible hum. Every time I'm in this place, it does it. Hello. All right. All set in there, Al? Okay, fine, try. Mysterious lights play upon the undulating desert sands of the ancient kingdom of Persia. And the sun hangs low in the menacing sky. Yes, it is time to contemplate the infinite, and time to understand that somewhere over the desert sands, the great chieftain pauses atop his fantastic charger, looks out over his sinister band, and gets ready to sing his song. Gets ready to sing to all of his friends and all of his followers, everywhere they might be. And by the way, this is also an intro that goes on for over 25 minutes. I'm the Sheik of Araby. Yes, that's right, Al. Your love belongs to me. At night when you're asleep, yes, sir. Into your tent I'll creep. For the stars that shine above. Oh, look at this. Sing it with me, gang. Will light our way to love. Yes, the stars that shine above. You'll rule this land with me. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm the Sheik of Araby. This is the original version of this great, terrible classic. You're hearing the original one. This is originally designed for a wind-up phonograph. It's doing its own winding down. Now, you did not have to use a wind-up phonograph to play it on the air, please. Is this a terrible song? Your love belongs to me. At night when you're asleep, into your tent I'll creep. The stars that shine above will light our way to love. You rule this life. Oh, cut it out. Oh. I knew you'd love it, gang. I knew you'd love it. Well, I'm the sheik of therapy. Hey, listen, I want you to hear what's going on here. And I'm going to give you a warning here. Wait, just a minute. I'm really bothered by this hum in here today. Wait, I'm going to check something here. Just hold on a minute here. Hold on a minute, King. That's right. I'm going to try something here. Hello, test. Hello, test. Hello, test. No, that didn't change it much. Hello, test. We get a hum in this studio, and I am going to do something about it because it does not always work as a hum. Yeah, hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's no better. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, nope. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, test. 1, 2. No, nope. It's the way it's going to be, gang. It's the way it is. That's the way it is. Wait, I'm going to try something here. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, that's a little better. How's that? That's good. Yeah. Yeah, that's a little bit better. There. Great. I fixed the equipment. One of those little victories. All right, now I have a scary story that I'm about to tell you. Not scary, really. Did you hear about this? Any of you out there read this story? Did you hear about I'll read it to you. It says, in separate raids, the police arrested 109 people in Manhattan and Central Islip, Long Island. Now listen. Charged them with attending and prompting cockfights. In violation of the state's conservation and agricultural laws, 81 suspects were taken into custody when the police entered a 5-story loft building on Wooster Street and found them gathered around a large table where 2 roosters were fighting. 35 game birds were picked up. And they raided a place out on Central Islip, and 25 roosters were picked up there. Well, I heard that story, see? And it got me at a place I haven't been got in a long time. I know I have never told this story ever on the air. It's one of those things, certain things happen to you that are so off the wall that you automatically erase it from your memory. You just don't hardly remember it, Now that's in direct opposition to what most people think, If somebody walked right up to me and says, what do you remember out of your life? Tell me what you remember. Brack. Immediately, if I were to intellectualize about it, I would say, well, the things I would remember are the great moments in your life that have happened. Not at all. Not at all, because I think that the most traumatic things that happen in your life, you just sort of erase. They're really great, and you have to think about it. Now, say, oh, yeah, wow, I remember that night. You have to drag it up. Well, I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you a story now. I'm going to warn you. It has elements when you just have to form your own opinion. That's all I got to say. Now, I'm also of another opinion, Al, if I may throw this at you here, friend, tonight. It's good to work with you, by the way. I'll throw this out to you. Do you agree that most men live lives of exemplary dullness? Their lives are straight line. They go to school, they go to college, they meet this girl, they get married, they have 2 nicely spaced, maybe 3 nicely spaced kids. The biggest excitement he ever gets in his life is every 2 years he gets another Pontiac, right? He waits from year to year for the ultimate Super Bowl game. That's about it.
And one day he shuffles off the mortal coil, and that's the end of the ball game for Clarence, or whatever his name is, right? Now there's another group, a tiny minority, I will grant you, which because of the accidents of fate, genes, parents, various other things, they live a totally different life. Their lives are generally loaded with alarms and excursions, near misses. And the others occasionally read about them and think it's fiction. Well, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I'm in the second group. And I often give thanks to this, you know. I really do. I don't know what I'd have done had I grown up to become one of these people that really believe in lawnmowers and worry a lot about crabgrass. That's a totally different kind of person. Worry, you know, year after year, are we going to get what do you say this year we get the driveway paved? Come on, we've been putting it off. It's a big decision. Well, I don't know whether it's always an unmixed blessing or whether it's a bad seed. But I'm just going to tell you exactly what happened to me one time. And don't say, well, what do you mean? How can this kind of stuff happen? It did happen. I'm just telling you it happened because my life has lived generally up to this point on the very knife edge of respectability. Now, not necessarily respectability. Let's say sheer and total disaster. Now, all right, I'll just tell it to you the way it was. I'm in college. Now, a lot of you say, Shep, you never tell us stories about when you were in college. All right, I'll tell you. It's the summertime. It's hot. And I'm a GI type student, you know. Got a couple of bucks in my pocket. And I got a job in the summertime. And I'm out in this town in the Midwest, which for want of a better name, we will call Cincinnati. That's an old Indian name. Obviously, there's no town actually named that, but we will call it that so that we will not put the guilty in the tight spot, right? So I'm out in this town. Now, this town, this hypothetical town, is right across the river from a hypothetical state which we will call Kentucky. Now, the river goes right through this place. See, there's a big river. That old river rolls on, don't do nothing, just keeps rolling on. That old man river. That's the Ohio River. Now, on hot nights in Cincinnati, the temperature and the humidity combine to almost bust your head right outside from inside your ears. I mean, oh boy. I mean, whew. I mean, the air just lays there sometimes for weeks in August, late July. It doesn't move. Just lays a great big fat watermelon of hot air. But about 97% humidity, it gets so hot that you can't believe it's that hot. In fact, sometimes the heat out in Cincinnati reminds you of a 375-pound lady sitting on a camp stool at a 4th of July picnic. It's just hot. It just sits there. Well, on this particular night, I feel the itch. Now, this is a dangerous thing. I think that many people who are of the innocent type, who live the straight line life, have never felt the itch. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. All set now? Well, I guess it was the heat. You know, the heat makes people do things they wouldn't do, if they were being normal, you know? It was the heat. And it was a night, it was like on a Friday night, weekend. I got off work, it was about midnight. I had this show, this late show on a really bad radio station. Oh, it was a bad one. Have you ever listened to a bad radio station? Well, friends, if you think that's bad, you ought to work in a bad radio. A real bad one. And it was just depressing. Even the wallpaper was depressing. Everything was depressing. And just the whole thing, the equipment was grimy, and they had grimy listeners. It was a grimy radio. So, you know, the kind, And it was one of those bad summers. And I had an engineer who also had the itch. And he was going to school too, see, both of us, going to the same school. And one night, I finished at midnight. He was off at midnight, see. And the two of us got out on the street after that shift. The shift on this job, you ever had a job where the shift, you work 8 hours, And the shift seems to go on for months. Months. We got out in the street. It was still hot out there, see, but you could smell the river. And the itch was on us, the madness. It was Friday night. We had the whole weekend ahead of us. We both had the weekend off, see. So I walked down the street with Bob, and he says to me, how about a beer? I said, not a bad idea, Bob. What do you say? Let's get down to Grammer's. And he said, okay. This is a bar where everybody hung out, you know, all the people on radio and that. They come in there late at night after the theater and stuff. So we walked down the street and we walked into this bar. And little did we realize that destiny was approaching us. Destiny. It quite often begins with a moment in the bar, I have discovered. So we walk in the bar, and the bartender behind us is named Louis. So I said to Louis, how about throwing 2 beers? I am setting Bob up here to a beer. I'm buying the first one. He says, do you want the bottled beer or do you want it out of the tap? I said, I want a draft, one of those big ones. So he says, okay. You know, up comes the head. He draws one for Bob. There's a whole crowd up and down the bar there, back and forth. Guys we knew, some we didn't. So we both had our beers. We're eating the pretzels. And the first sip of that beer in that hot summer night after an 8-hour shift in that rotten, stinking salt mine of a radio station. Oh, did it taste good. Ah, yeah. Boss. Oh, some things you can't describe. I said, that's right, Bob. We're standing here, and when all of a sudden I noticed to my left a friend of mine who worked at another radio station, a little shifty guy. He's a guy, one of those guys, you know, that is like a journeyman. He's always on the edge of respectability. There he is down there, and he's having himself a couple of fingers of wild turkey bourbon. So I waved to him. I says, how are you, Bruce? He says, okay. He says, how are you guys? I said, okay, Bruce, you off shift? And he says, yeah, I am. He said, hey, you guys got anything going tonight? I said, no, I haven't. It's a mistake. When somebody comes up to you, lays that on the bar right in front of you there, just like one of those anchovies with salt on it, you better be careful. He says, you doing anything tonight? I said, no, I'm not. And Bob, my friend, says, no, I'm not either. He said, listen, you guys want to do something really great tonight? And by this time, 3 or 4 guys in the bar are looking down because they figure there's some action, see? So he says, so you want to really do something great tonight? He said, you really want to? And so Bob says, what do you mean? What do you got? He said, well, I can't tell you here. How can you ignore that kind of an invitation? He said, I can't tell you. So 5 minutes later, after the second beer, me and Bob and Bruce are in his convertible Dodge. This old battered Dodge, and we are driving across the river into Kentucky. We're about halfway across the bridge. It's a great big suspension bridge. It goes over this river, and you could smell the catfish. You could smell the water. You could smell that green algae that comes floating down from out of the hills, the Kentucky hills. Oh, you know, it's the life force you're smelling. And we drive over into Covington, Kentucky. And Bruce is being very hip. He's not telling us at all where we're going. He says, you guys wait. He says, man, you're going to have more. He says, you got any money with you? I said, well, yeah, I got paid this morning. I got a couple of bucks in my pocket. And Bob says, yeah, I'm holding. He says, I'm okay. He says, I'm glad you got some dough. He says, you're going to have some excitement tonight. He says, something like you've never seen before. He says, now don't tell nobody where you're going. He says, if tomorrow morning, don't tell anybody you've seen it. He says, but it's going to be fantastic. So we drove through Covington. And Covington on a Friday night, on the weekend, you can't believe it. I mean, I'm telling you, the White Castle is loaded with guys looking for gay, real big-time bear. And you can see the bars swinging, and you can hear Roy Acuff's voice drifting out of all those hillbilly bars up and down the street. So we drove right through town. We drove through another little town. Now we're on a couple of side streets. We drive up a gravel road. We make a turn. We're driving up a long, thin, one narrow asphalt pathway through the trees. We make another turn. We're now on the gravel road again. We make another turn, and now we're going up a clay 2-track bumpy road up through the woods. And by this time, I'm really excited, see. I'm saying, man, what do you got going here, Bruce? He said, wait. And we're going boom, boom, in and out of the potholes, and it's dark. We make a turn through the woods, and there before us is an old house, exactly like the Charles Adams type house. Great big old house, got turrets all over it and bay windows, and there's a barn in the back. And about 50 cars are parked around it. It's 50 cars in front of this place in the woods. What the hell is this, you know? And Bruce jumps out of the car. We park the car. He jumps out of the car, and I get out the other side. Bob gets out. We go walking through amid all these cars. It's dark. There's nothing there. It's dark. There's a lot of cars. Something's happening, see? We go around the side of the house. Excitement is mounting. And now we are in the back of the house, right? There is a barn. There's an old garage there. A lot of weeds and trees and stuff. It's dark. Well, I'll tell you, it's darker than the inside of a Mets baseball cap. I mean, it's really dark. And there's this big barn. Bob walks up to the door there, and he looks around. And Bruce says, "No, wait a minute. Let me take care of it now. You stand back. You two guys, you never been here. Let me stand. Let me take care of it." He walks up to the barn. There was a door on the side. He goes, excitement is mounting, and we can hear noises now coming from inside the barn. You can hear voices and people. And the door opens a little crack. There's this guy wearing a great big black hat looking out. Just one eye. He says, "Hey, you, Bruce?" Bruce says, "Yeah, that's right. It's me, Luke." He says, "Who you got with you?" He says, "It's all right, okay." He said, "You sure now?" And Bruce says, "Yeah, they're okay. They're friends of mine." He says, "Are they holding? They got money?" And Bruce says, "Yeah, they got money." And the door swings open just a crack, just wide enough to let us in. Just wide enough to let us in. Well, Bruce goes in first, sideways. I follow him. And after him comes Bob. And I am hit instantly by the smell. Strange, heady, yet familiar, very rich smell. And it's dark in this place. Black, except over on the one corner, there is a doorway that goes down inside. They're under this barn. Apparently, when they had this house in full swing, somebody had made a cellar under the barn. I could see light coming out of the door. "What's that smell?" Bruce says, "Come on, let's go. We don't want to miss this. Come on, let's go." So we walk up to the door, and the door swings back. Down we go. And I can't believe the scene that I see. Fantastic scene. Hanging from the ceiling of this cellar is a great big green shade with about a 400-watt bulb in it. And it is bright. And it's hanging down low. And the light is falling on what looks like a big, flat, round disc of sawdust. Sawdust about 10 feet around. And around the sawdust is a fence, maybe 3 feet high, painted green. Right there in the middle of that blackness. And it took me about maybe a minute or two for my eyes to get used to that darkness. I look around, I see all these people. I see all these guys in black hats all around me. And they're all around this little arena made out of sawdust with a green wall. Then I start hearing these sounds. I hear these guys muttering, talking back and forth. And they're waiting. I hear these sounds. I hear these sounds. What am I in? And then through the crowd comes two guys, each with a box, great big box, with a wired chicken wire on the side of it. One guy's got a big black hat, and the other guy's not got no hat at all. He's got a crew cut, and they're both carrying these boxes. The first one steps right over this 3-foot-high green fence, and now he's standing under that light. He's all by himself out there in the light. He looks around the crowd, and I hear guys hollering, hey, come on, let's go, Frank. You give him hell tonight. I want to see Big Reverend move there. Come on, boy. And he opens up the box, which is now resting on the sawdust, and out into the light comes the meanest, on the muscle chicken I ever saw in my life. And he stands up straight, and I see what it is right away. It's a great big green and black and red rooster. And he has got little hoods over each eye. You ever seen a hooded rooster with a big yellow gold beak? He stands up tall, he's skinny, and his neck is looking around. He's just moving his neck around. And once in a while, his mouth opens. It goes, ah, ah, ah. He's standing up real tall. And then I see the man is adjusting something on his feet. It's the first time I ever seen him. He's putting these little bracelets down around the bottom of his feet, you know, where the claws come out there, those big yellow claws sticking out there into that sawdust. He's putting this little bracelet, but on the bracelet, this leather bracelet. Never seen anything like it. Two great big, mean-looking, silver-flashing, razor-sharp blades. Yeah, he's got these hook-shaped steel claws he's strapping on him. And then he adjusts them very careful. And there they stick out there about 3 inches. And that big old rooster's walking around. Now he's looking, he's trying to look through that. He's trying to look through that mask he's got over his eyes. You can see he's looking back and forth, and the guys are all watching him in the darkness. All these men are leaning forward, watching this big, red, mean-looking rooster. Mean one. And the other guy steps down into the ring, the guy with the crew cut. And he lowers his box down to the sawdust. I could see the crowd waiting, and that other big rooster's moving around real mean like. Now he's backing up against the wall because he can smell something. But he doesn't know quite what it is because he can't see, but he can smell something. He's moving back now. The guy with a crew cut opens up that box. There's a pause, and then out into the light steps contestant number 2. Oh, if the first one was mean. This one made the first one look like one of the Bobbsey twins. Black, with a few green flecks down the front. Great big red comb. And he was wearing a white mask, 2 little white plastic things over his eyes. And he stepped out and he started to walk stiff-toed around the ring, real high. He was picking his feet up, real high. And the first one starts backing off into that green fence. I could see right away he's about 8 or 9 inches shorter than that big black one that just come out. And he could smell him now. And at that moment, the boys in the audience starts to mutter back and forth to each other, and I could see the flash of $10 bills. And they're making their bets. They're placing their bets now back and forth. This one guy keeps saying, I'll give you. He says, I'll put 10. He says, I'll put 10 on red. I'll put 10 on red. Anybody's got 3 for Blackie. Anybody's got 3 for Blackie. And the odds were 3-1 in favor of Blackie, apparently. He said, I'll put 10 down if somebody's got 3 10s to lay on Blackie. And they're all muttering back and forth, and I could see these $10 bills moving back and forth. And these 2 men out in the arena, each one's got a hold of his rooster, and he's waiting. Got him by the chest, just holding him back like that. They both have these masks on. And you can see their head moving around back and forth. They're sniffing the air. If you can hear a chicken sniff, if you can hear a rooster smell the air, you know he's smelling the air. His neck is getting high like a snake. Has it ever occurred to you that roosters look a lot like snakes under certain ways, certain conditions? Their head goes high and they stand tall on their talons, and each one's got those big 3-inch glittering steel razor sharp. Those evil-looking knives attached to their legs. And I look over at Bob and I said, Bob, what is this? He said, this is the Cockfight. He's always heard of him. This is the first time I've ever seen one. I said, me too. And Bruce is already deep in conversation with about 5 guys all around him there, and they're exchanging money. They're laying it out on the hat there, and they got a little 2x4, and they're putting money on it, talking back and forth. I don't know what this is all about. I'm waiting. And now all the transactions are done. The two men stand out there, and one of them stands up real tall, the guy with a black head. He saw you guys ready now? You all set? Does anybody want to put anything extra on Red? Old Red's going to give him hell tonight, I tell you. Red's feeling it. He's going to give him hell. There's dead silence, and somebody in the back hollered, "Let her go, Clarence, let's go!" And the two men face each other across the ring. And the two roosters are ready for action. And then the third man steps into the ring, the referee. And he turns to each man in his turn and says, "You ready, Clarence?" Clarence says, "Yeah." Turns to his right and he says, "You ready, Frank?" Frank says, "Yep, sure am." He says, "All right, boys. When I drop the handkerchief, let him go." And he says, a white handkerchief which he holds outside the ring, see? The two men are standing there with their hands on the back of the heads of the roosters. Each one's getting ready to release those two little clips that hold those masks on. He said, "All right, ready, boys? Okay, she's all yours." And he drops that white thing. And instantly, the two masks fly off. And the two men get out of the ring. And there they stand. There they stand, looking at each other. These two fantastic fighting roosters. The little red one. Little one, nothing but solid gristle. He was about 3 feet tall. And the big black one, about 4.5 feet tall. Solid bone and gristle and muscle and evil red eyes. And two of them back off for a second. And then all of a sudden, the black one, the big one, he just moves forward. And he leaves his feet high in the air. And down he comes with those two flashing talons. And Red moves like a snake to his left. And the big black one lands in the sawdust. He missed him completely. He leaps up again. And those flashing talons. The little red one moves forward. And his beak just goes pow, pow, pow. 3 quick shots like that at the head. Pow, pow, pow. And now I see a flash of blood that just sprays out across that green fence. That little red one is scored. The big black one moves back and he goes up again in the air. Down he comes with those flashing knives. Zap! I see a feather go up in the air. And the big black one is scored. And now the two of them are circling around each other because both of them smell blood. Each other's blood. And the crowd is leaning forward. One after the other, they're beginning to shout, "Hey, let go! Come on! Come on, Red! Come on, Red!" I hear somebody else, "Blackie! Come on, Blackie! Finish him off! Come on, Blackie!" I can't tell you what a scene it was. And that yellow light bulb hanging over that sawdust now, speckled with red. And suddenly, zap! Bam! It's all over. The men start paying off the bets. And I'm sitting there on the edge. What have I seen? Bruce is all excited. He has won $45 on the first meet. The two men leave with their boxes. One of the roosters won. The other one will never fight again. That's the way that game is. I turned to Bruce and I said, "Bruce, let's get out of here." And Bob, next to me, his face is as white as a sheet. He says, I can't stand any more of this. Oh, it's fantastic. And Bruce says, "What do you mean? You guys want to go?" I said, "Yeah, come on, Bruce. I don't like this. Something funny about this." He said, "Okay. I knew I shouldn't have brought you guys." And 5 minutes later, we're rolling down the gravel road. In silence, the three of us. In the blackness. In the darkness of the soul. And now we're back out on the main highway, and the heat's banging down. And Bruce, who's driving the car, turns to me and he says, "Boy, did you ever see anything like that? What do you think of them two birds?" I didn't say anything. Bob didn't say anything. We just rode back to town, quiet. We stopped off at the White Castle and picked up a sack of hamburgers. Didn't say much else. Bruce dropped us off at the bar. Neither one of us mentioned it after that. It's the first time I ever told you that story, isn't it? Like I said, some men spend their lives going out to Shea Stadium, buying gas-driven lawnmowers and worrying about crabgrass. Then there's the others, who see glimmers, glints in the great desert of existence, who see things that the others never even dreamed of. Yes, it was one of the evil nights of my life, but a strange, curious, primal night. There was two mean roosters circling around each other, sniffing the air, with those little plastic masks over those red eyes with nothing but hate in them. Nothing but hate.
Recording from New York, you've been listening to Inside Gene Shepherd. Join us again 7 o'clock Friday evening for our next Shepherd program. And stay tuned now for Jack Armstrong, which will follow in just 7 minutes. It's 70 degrees in downtown Washington. Here are these items in tonight's news. The government reports U.S. households had a median income of $10,512 in 1973. The Census Bureau report shows household income increased by nearly 8.5% in total dollars, but only a little over 2% in purchasing power due to erosion by inflation. President Ford has ordered a major shuffle in top diplomatic, political, and economic posts, and he has signaled the imminent return to military duty for White House Chief of Staff Alexander Haig. In his fourth week as president, Ford named Republican National Chairman George Bush as chief of the U.S. mission to China.